go and teach a couple of retreats, and Venerable Satima was with me, and I taught one, and then just at the very beginning of the other one, and I had a message from one of my sisters that my father, whose health has been quite tumultuous. He's been in and out of hospital since just a little bit before Christmas. So anyway, I got a message from my sister saying he looks like he's not going to be around for very long. And so that was sort of at breakfast time, and then through the morning I recognised, like, oh, I can't really meditate, I definitely can't lead a meditation, and that my mind was just really on wanting to go back and see him while I could. So by amazing good fortune I was able to get a ticket that same day and get a ride to the airport and arrive the next day. And his hospital was he was in a little hospital, it's called a cottage hospital, which is like a hospital that's a small hospital that's just for like one town. So he was in this little cottage hospital, very, very lovely staff. They had 7 beds on the ward, a little ward, and then outpatient stuff, and it was within about 2 minutes walk of the train station, so I was able to just walk there with my suitcase and everything and spend time with him. And he was not very conscious actually by the time I was there. It was hard to tell whether he knew I was there or not, I don't really know. But it still felt really important to be there and to be with him and to express my love and my gratitude and encouragement really for him to let go and to feel safe and these things. And because I'd come all that way on such a short turnaround, you could say, my older sister, who wasn't going to come, suddenly realised, like, I need to see him too. And so she came a few hundred miles by public transit, and was actually able to be in the room with him the whole time. They gave him a room with a bathroom, and which he couldn't use. He was bedridden at that time. And then they gave her a low bed, and she could use the bathroom and stuff. So she had everything she needed, and they even brought in a little refrigerator for her, which was really amazing. And they would offer her breakfast, offer her lunch. They were just so wonderful, very caring, very, very lovely people, And so he was in this quite kind and compassionate environment, and it looked like he was going to be around for some days, some time. So we were sort of checking in with the staff, because there's changes to the breath as people get closer to the end of their life, and the staff were kind of like, well, he's not like going to go any minute probably, and so. Because my sister was concerned about leaving, so she wanted to be there with him, and when he died, and not go in case something happened. And I tell you, sometimes people like to be alone actually when they die. Some people wait for people to come, and others wait for people to be out of the room when they go. So it's good to give him a choice, So because it didn't look like it was imminent, and because of that reason, we went together in the town and got some, shopped for some food, and then we were finding a place to sit and eat outside, and there's a little park, so we went to this park and we found that there was this beautiful, really mature cherry tree, white blossoms that were falling. It was a really exquisite tree, and there was a bench under that tree, so we sat under this tree to have our lunch. And I reminded my sister, so my older sister was a nun for 29 years, I think it was, in a sort of Indian lineage, and living in different parts of the world. And once when I visited her, she gave me these 6 little buttons, white buttons that were the shape of cherry blossoms. And she said, and some of the time, so she lived for about 5 or 6 years in Japan, and she gave me these little buttons, and she said, in Japan, people come and have their picnics under the cherry blossom, falling cherry blossom, to remind themselves of the impermanence of life, the impermanence of all things. And so there we were, sitting under this cherry blossom, dropping these white blossoms, having our lunch as our dad was right at the end of his life. It's quite beautiful. and children were there playing, climbing trees, and we were just like, oh, it's so nice to know that kids still climb trees, you know, they're not just on their phones. And so it just felt very alive and also sort of poignant. And so we both spent some time with our dad. And that day then my sister stayed there in the room, and I went back to be with his wife, my stepmother, and stayed there. And then the next day we got a message that he may be going sooner than expected. And I wasn't sure what to do, actually, so I wanted to be with him, but I also recognised that his wife, my stepmother, needed support. And so I just sort of, in my mind's eye, asked him, you know, and who knows with these things, it could just be our own mind, you never really know, but I sort of asked him in my mind, what would be the right thing to do? What should I do now? And the message came, stay with my stepmother and be with her. So I did that, stayed with her. And she had an appointment that day to go and visit him at 1 o'clock. And then I was saying to her, you know, I don't know if he's going to still be there at 1 o'clock. And shall we get a taxi? And then she was like, oh, I don't know how to get it. You know, she was sort of a little bit flustered at that. And she wanted to stay with her 1 o'clock appointment. And then I was like, you know, I need to go. I think I need to go. So I got a taxi for both of us. And then made it clear that it was urgent. And then just in between calling the taxi and it arriving, there was a message from the hospital that my father had actually passed away, breathed his last breath. And my sister was with him, my other sister was with him. And it was the first time she'd ever been with anyone at that moment, so that she hadn't experienced it. It's a very sacred thing to be with somebody at that last moment. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't actually been at the birth of a human being, only of a cow, a calf. But maybe it's in some ways it's kind of parallel a little bit. It's like a symmetry with that mysterious arriving into the world from somewhere, and then that mysterious leaving the world to somewhere, you know. And so she was with him for that last breath, and then I came. So then I went in. My stepmother didn't want to come in at that point, and so I came in. My father was there in the bed, and my sister was there. And it was very peaceful. And then my sister said, "He's still warm. Hold his hand." So I put my hand into his hand, and it was just as if he was alive. It was pretty amazing. His consciousness was still there, and the body hadn't left yet. And this warmth and softness, and I was able to express my love for him, and just feel that warmth. I can still feel it now. That sort of warmth. Big head, big hands, and yeah. And then gradually, as we were there, did a little chant, a little Buddhist chant. And he was very unreligious. He didn't like anything religious, but did a very short Buddhist chant. And also my sister, while she was with him, as he was passing, she was saying, "Go to the light, go to the light." And then she said to him, "You've been successful. You've had a successful life. All your children love you, and both your wives have loved you. So you've had a successful life. You can go now." And I liked that she framed a successful life in that way. You know, not about achievements or fame, but you know, loving connection. And so I think she sent him off in the best possible way, really. And it was also quite lovely that she was there with him, because for about 35 years. So when she was 19, she left home where we were. Well, she left home before that actually, but she left the country. And we didn't see her for many, many years. And she would write once a year to a non-returnable, you know, to somewhere we couldn't write back to. She was clear that she wanted some space, you know. So 35 years later, she came back, and I think it had been painful for both my parents that she disappeared in that way, and so that she was actually there also taking care of my mum at the end of her life. I was there at the last moments, so she was there for both of them at those important times, despite sort of needing to just get away and completely cut off and do her own thing. And yeah, so there was this sort of sense of completion somehow, of a full circle. And my relationship with my father in the first sort of like 27 years really was very difficult, ongoingly difficult, as far as I can remember. And thanks to the teachings and the practice and the community, I think, that I received as a Buddhist nun, I was able to work on that very diligently and transform a lot of anger, fear, hatred, resentment, disappointment, I don't know what else I could say, hurt, these things. I was able to transform those feelings in my heart. And there's a teaching that the Buddha gave, and it goes something like, he's talking about how important our parents are. And as a practitioner, we've come across the Dhamma, and the Dhamma opens up possibilities in this world, and the world itself is what it is. It's beautiful and it's crazy and it's gives us hope and despair and all of that. And then the Dhamma is like, for me anyway, the Dhamma was what gave meaning to life. Before it was all like, what's going on, and how long is this going to last, and we're going to die at the end. So what is the point of all this? That was sort of the way I was seeing things from quite a young age, and then the Dhamma was like, okay. Not that it exactly gives meaning either, because perhaps there is no meaning, but it gives a purpose for me. Gave a purpose and an orientation and a sense of aliveness and fulfillment that I couldn't find in the sensory world. I couldn't find it through having nice things or experiencing nice experiences or even really in relationship fully, because they're going to end one day, and so there was always that theme was always there. And then the Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha, and I can feel it as I say that it brings this richness and this, it's almost like a whole other dimension to life that was missing before. So the Buddha says, how very, very important it is to honour one's parents. And I think probably anyway, but especially as one who's, when we come across the teachings, our parents gave us this opportunity. And even if our parents weren't great parents, they're here and we're alive, and so it was good enough. And even if they, it was just, even if we were parted from our mother right after birth, as many people have been, still we have been given this birth. And it's an opportunity to awaken, actually, from a Buddhist perspective. It's an opportunity to awaken to our true nature. So there's this teaching that the Buddha gives where he says, even if you carry your parents on your shoulders, your father on one side, your mother on the other side, and they're defecating and urinating down your back, and you carry them through your life until the end of your life, you still won't repay the debt you have to your parents. And the only way, and there are actually several points which I should have probably looked up before I started talking, but and somebody else might know them, but the only way that you can really repay your parents is through establishing them in faith, in ethical conduct, in understanding the Dhamma. There's maybe a couple more.
Wisdom, and then there was one more.
Wisdom, yes, wisdom. Let's say
was the Dhamma one, and then...
Anyway, these good qualities that are aligned with the path. So if you can establish them.
Generosity.
Generosity, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Oops.
Oh.
It's not touched me. Okay, it'll be alright. Yeah. So I wasn't successful in those things with my dad. My mum was already pretty good on those things, but I did try very, very various ways to, directly and subtly and very subtly, and to try and encourage some of those things. And I didn't. It was always there was always a very clear no from him, if that was coming in any way, and so I wasn't successful in that. But I would think of this image of carrying your parents on your back, and they're, you know, it's all going on, and that's, so it's like, okay, all right, what if I you know, what do I have to do to purify this karma, you could say. And I haven't really got time to tell you the whole story, actually. It'll have to be another day. But I did go through a whole practice with my father, in relation to my father in my late 20s, that did transform things for me. And because I was able to let go of my need for him to be what he couldn't be, what he didn't know how to be, because he hadn't had it himself. Once I was able to really let go of that, this idea of what I thought he should be for me, for us, and I didn't even get to the point of accepting him as he was. It was just like let it go and move on with my life, you know. And in that letting go of wanting him to be something he couldn't be, he was able to come forward and meet me, because there wasn't that ongoing wish to have something from him that he couldn't deliver. So it was an interesting kind of, it was sort of a natural shift that happened. And we were very different, and we didn't have a lot of shared interests or anything, but what did develop over the years was this love. And in the UK, we don't talk about love that much. I mean, we do, you know, love ice cream and lovely day today. But we don't, at least in my background, we didn't say, I love you. That was like, maybe people in California might say that, but not us, you know. And the last couple of times that I spoke, so I was back in the UK last year, and I visited my father. I went back for his 90th birthday, and our family gathered, and a little family, and then I didn't have any contact with him from June until about, must have been December, because of limited ability to manage technology on that end, and limited access my end, or for whatever reason, and so I had been out of touch for quite a number of months. And then when one of my sisters was visiting, I said, please, can you like take your tablet and I can zoom in, and then I can. So I had a couple of times that I could speak with him while he was still okay, and I found myself just saying, "I love you," you know, "I love you so much." I was like, oh, it's just coming out of me, you know, and that hadn't been true at one time in my life, really. It'd been really difficult. And then the second call I'd had with him, that just, it was just come out of me, you know, and then he was just like, I love you too, I love you so much. And then he started like, I love you so much, and he was kind of crying, and it was like, yeah, this is it, this is the thing that really matters. This is the thing that really matters. And there's all that other stuff, you know, that the hurts and the disappointments and the resentments and the whatever it is that go on, and actually what really matters is those words, that meaning, that feeling, I love you and I love you. That's what matters. And I think it's amazing that we were able to get, I mean, I'm also very grateful he was almost 91. I'm very grateful that he was able to live that long, that we were able to get to that point, because it took quite a lot of work, you know, for both of us, and also for other family members. We've all been doing our work over the years, and yeah, there was something just like, there it is, and at the end of his life, that my sister was there telling him, you know, you've been successful in your life because all your children love you. It wasn't because he was the greatest father in the world, but we love him anyway, and both of your wives have loved you, which is true. And that love was the central and most important purpose, you could say, or expression of life. And so I wanted to share that with you because I think we all have probably difficult relationships here and there, and things that shut down, or where we can't meet someone, or maybe even with ourselves, you know. And love is this very powerful force. It's natural. It's what's underneath all of the stuff, all of the shutting down and the fears and the angers and the greed. I mean, that ignorance is motivating all of those things. And when ignorance is gone, even if just for a moment, or when it's thinner, then love and wisdom shine through, and that's natural. So it could have been a very different story, you know. It could have been that I shut my heart, I closed my heart to him, which would have been easier, much easier to do, much less intense, much less painful. And that's what he did with his father, actually, until a certain point where he was able to turn that around. His father had already passed on at that point. And that's one of those things that can happen, you know. One's estranged, as an estrangement happens, and then the next generation, and then another estrangement happens, and then another one, and we can do that. And I could see that I could have done that, and I could see how attractive it is on one level. You just walk away, you know. You just close that door, you know, move to another part of the country or something, and walk away, so I do really recognise that you know, people need their space, and we need room to do the work. And probably if my father and I had been living together, it would be a different story. But you know, that's all just part of the wisdom element of knowing what you need to do the transformative work that we need to do, and to recognise those places in our own heart where we're holding on to things. Of, you did this, you did that, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You know. And the Buddha says, you know, for those who think in that way, you know, he abused me, he wronged me, whatever it might be, hatred gets established in the heart. And for those who let go of those ways of thinking, then hatred can also be let go of. So, so we all have the potential to transform whatever difficult karma we may have come in with, as much as we can. We can do a lot of transformational work through the tools that the Dhamma gives us, that the Buddha gives us. And the thing is that we have to really just do that work. And I think it's very important to know those stories in your own mind. You know, I'm justified in my hatred because ding, 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 ding. I'm justified in my rage because of all of these reasons. I think I said maybe last time I was here, I have a very dear friend she actually got hospitalised because she was so angry with the government. She was in her 80s. She actually had to be taken to hospital because she was so angry that she kind of collapsed. And then she kind of recognised it, and we talked about things, and she recognised that, yeah, that's not the right way to go. And then some months later, she's going in that cycle again. I'm like, whoa, you gotta come back from that edge, you know, because it's the opposite way to finding freedom, and it's exactly what the world doesn't need. So, yeah, it takes effort, and sometimes when we come to, I think you all probably, I don't know everyone here actually, but many of you are sort of seasoned in your practice. But you know, often when we first come to spiritual path, you know, we want some lovely thing. You know, it's like, okay, life is hard, and let's meditation. Then go on a retreat. Oh yeah, that'd be really lovely. And then you know, imagine that you're going to just sort of float above it all in some lovely beautiful heavenly realm, and oh, it's all going to be so nice. But actually, no, you've got to clear out that stuff from your heart and mind. That's the work. And then as we do that, it gets nicer here. It gets more spacious in here. It gets more peaceful. The love can shine through more easily. The wisdom is clearer. So that is the path. And also, while I was in the UK, because this was all sort of, I hadn't, it was all sort of unplanned, and I realised that Ajahn Sumedho, who was kind of my spiritual father, who was the first Western disciple of Ajahn Chah. So I lived with Ajahn Sumedho for many years, and he gave me the first real opportunity to transform my life, I would say, through the Dhamma, and through being in a monastic community, and through being in a whole environment of Dharma, really. And he also, and he was an amazing teacher in many ways, and yeah, I mean, in ways I couldn't even put words to, actually. And also there was pain and difficulty. So in my leaving that community, there was pain, and I felt hurt and betrayed by him, and he felt hurt and betrayed by me, and which was kind of indicative of, we had different ideas of what was going on, and how things should be, and we have met a number of times since then, so that's not very strong now, but I really felt this need, like I need to also go and see him, pay my respects, express my gratitude, this might be the last chance. And so I was able to also visit him and have a really honest and both very honest and loving conversation. And yeah, that's also, just to recognise, we never know. I mean, this is with people who are in their 90s, so you can kind of guess that they're probably not going to be around too long, and who knows, when I'm back in the UK, this might be the last time I see him. But even with people who are well and younger, and so you just never know. So when there are, if you care about somebody, and they've hurt you, see whether how that can be transformed, the hurt, in whatever way it is, and if you can, express your care for that person, those people, because who knows, It can be in little ways, and you don't have to go, I love you. It can be just a little something, a gift or a gesture or a hug or something. Because love matters. Love is important. Love is what shines through when we clear out the dross of our hearts and minds. Love and wisdom. So for that today.
Sadhu, sadhu.